So a few years ago, there came out a Tom Ford private blend fragrance that seemed to send everyone into a frenzy. That fragrance is none other than effing fabulous. Even if you walk into a local department store, the label is censored now, which is interesting. I did a video on it, so I'm going to leave a card to that up here. In today's episode, we're going to be taking a look at an inspiration or a clone of that fragrance. This one by Dossier is called Oriental Sage. I'm excited to share my thoughts with you on this fragrance and also let you know how close I think it is to the original, so make sure to stay tuned. Now, before I begin today's review on Oriental Sage by Dossier, and I tell you all about this fragrance, the notes, the longevity, the performance, also how close I think it is to the original, which I own 2 bottles of, I do want to start things off by mentioning that if you are a fan of fragrance-related content, please do consider supporting the channel by subscribing to it. Make sure to hit that bell icon so you could be notified whenever I do upload future videos to the channel. And of course, give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it or if you took something of value from today's episode. Now, the Tom Ford fragrance after which this is inspired is an awesome fragrance. It has the almond, it has the leather, it has the floral ingredients. As a matter of fact, I think the notes are, they're listed on the back of this card, which is included in every box of a Dossier fragrance. So it has bitter almond, sage, lavender, leathery notes, orris, and vanilla. And then in the base, you're looking at amber, blonde woods, and tonka bean. Now, in my opinion, this fragrance is a spicy, sweet leather with a little bit of an aromatic touch. And I'm going to be smelling it on camera, and I'm going to let you know how close I think it comes to the original. But let's go ahead and start things off by taking a quick look at the presentation. Now, right in the opening of this fragrance, my initial thought was, yep, this smells like the Tom Ford. It comes very close to the original. I mean, if I had to put a number on it, I would say it's somewhere in the wheelhouse of 90%, 92%. I'm not entirely sure. I did have an opportunity to do a side-by-side, and in the beginning, it felt like maybe the original was a little bit stronger, but as they started to dry down and mellow out, they seem actually quite similar to one another. So the comparisons are definitely there. They're warranted, and they pretty much reverse engineered this fragrance to get it as close as they could to the original without compromising anything, which is, I think, what most people want to see. Now, in terms of the smell, if you haven't tried the original, let me tell you what you can expect from it. So it opens up with this sort of semi-sweet leather accord. So there's leather, but it's more like a suede. It's very smooth and creamy in its texture. It's not aggressive. It's not bold. It's not animalic. It's not rough around the edges or anything like that. But it's a very smooth kind of a leather that is accented by the bitter almond in the opening. And then you also have this creamy sweetness, which is coming from the tonka bean in the base. Now, I know there is amber mentioned in the note breakdown. Well, certainly I am getting the vanilla of that amber accord, and perhaps there are some resins in there, but nothing too pronounced, nothing too strong in this fragrance. It's basically a semi-sweet leather perfume. So if you're in the market for something like that, which, and by the way, the orris that's in here, for those of you who don't know, iris or orris sometimes add like this lipstick-like quality to perfumes. If you're familiar with the original Dior by Christian Dior, then you know how it kind of smells like lipstick or a cosmetic bag or something like that. And you don't have that happening in here, but you do have this unique floral accord, which kind of diversifies the aroma or the scented profile of the fragrance. And that's something that I personally really do enjoy. I don't want something linear or something plain. I want something that has a certain element of complexity to it, and I find that you do get that with this fragrance. Now, as it starts to dry down, you do get blonde woods, which I think blend in pretty well with the amber and the tonka bean. But again, this is not really a woodsy fragrance in my opinion. This is more of like an aromatic leather fragrance. And so if I were to rewrite the name, instead of Oriental Sage, I probably would have written, leathery sage or something like that, because I really do feel like that smooth, creamy, semi-sweet leather really sits at the heart of the composition, and the almond is a really, really nice touch. There's a lot of great almond fragrances that I personally love. Baccarat Rouge 540 Extrait has a really nice almond ingredient in it. Pegasus by Parfum de Marly. It seems like whenever you add almond to a fragrance, it just makes it better. So that's one of the reasons why I do like the original private blend, but I also like this fragrance as well. In terms of copying it, they did a really, really good job. Definitely smells similar to the original. I would venture to say about 90 to 93% similar. Personally, I am a fan, and with the original not being the most inexpensive fragrance and not being the easiest fragrance to find on the market, I can certainly see why somebody would opt to pay the inexpensive price tag for this fragrance versus purchasing a bottle of the original, especially if you're going to get very similar smell and very similar performance to the original. Let's go ahead and finish things off with my overall assessment. Now, first up, in terms of the uniqueness and the overall smell, not a unique fragrance at all because it is a clone, and that's kind of what Dossier does. But the overall smell, given the fact that it's a leather fragrance, that it's balsamic, that it has amber, it's actually not too daring, and it's not the type of fragrance that's going to turn people off. I don't find it to be challenging in any way. I personally feel like there are a lot of other Tom Ford fragrances like Tuscan Leather Intense, perhaps even Oud Wood or Noir de Noir that are a little bit more difficult to wear for some people, not me, but for some people over this one. So I do find that Tom Ford, especially Noir Anthracite, that is like one of Tom Ford's most daring fragrances. Some Tom Ford fragrances can be a little bit difficult to wear, could be a little bit challenging. That's not what you're going to get with this one. Longevity on this is about 8 hours. Projection was amazing for the first hour. Never radiated beyond an arm's length, but stayed consistently within an arm's length for about 5 to 6 hours. Became a skin scent around that 7th hour. Right at that 8th hour, it disappears. Versatility on this one. I can see myself wearing this in every season, but in the summertime, I would be a little bit lighter on the sprayer because there are some dark ingredients in here. Perfectly unisex. Anybody of any age can wear this one. You can wear this one casually because of how inexpensive it is. You can wear it formally because of the complexity of the smell. And in terms of my final verdict or the presentation is really nice, very minimalist, but it contributes to the costs being so low. My final verdict is, if you are looking for an alternative of the Tom Ford fragrance that was previously mentioned, I would definitely recommend that you check out Oriental Sage by Dossier. I know there's a lot of brands out there making their own versions and inspirations. This is just one of the few that I've actually tried and that I own, and that I've owned for well over a year now. And what I can say is that, yes, it does in fact smell very close to the original, and I have a feeling you'll enjoy it if you like the original. There you have it, ladies and gents. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed my review of Oriental Sage by Dossier. If you did, please do consider supporting the channel by subscribing to it. Hit that bell icon so you could be notified whenever I do upload future videos to the channel. And of course, give this video a thumbs up if you took something of value or if you learned something from today's episode. Thanks again for watching. Love you all, and we'll see you next time. Bye.